Why smart people still make stupid decisions. You know that feeling when you do something and later ask yourself, why did I do that? It's not that you're not smart. In fact, you're probably highly intelligent, well-read, and thoughtful. But still, you make a decision that's clearly wrong. Maybe impulsive, maybe emotional, maybe something you've told yourself not to do a dozen times before. Here's the hard truth. Intelligence doesn't protect us from bad decisions. In this video, we're going to explore why smart people, doctors, scientists, philosophers, investors, even world leaders, keep making decisions that seem, frankly, stupid. We'll break it down psychologically, neurologically, and emotionally. And by the end, you'll understand how to stop being smart but stuck. Let's begin. The illusion of rationality. First, let's destroy a common myth that smart people are more rational. Research shows that intelligence often makes people better at rationalizing, not reasoning. In other words, instead of being more objective, smart people are often just better at defending their biases. Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, found that we have two systems of thinking. System 1, fast, intuitive, emotional. System 2, slow, logical, effortful. Smart people are great at System 2, but System 1 still rules most of our lives. Most of our decisions, even the big ones, are made emotionally and only later justified logically. So, intelligence doesn't prevent bad decisions. It just makes bad decisions sound smarter. Overconfidence bias. One of the most dangerous traps is overconfidence. Smart people are often used to being right. In school, in discussions, at work. This creates an internal story. I know what I'm doing. But confidence and competence are not the same thing. In fact, studies show that smarter people are more likely to overestimate their ability to make good decisions. This is called the overconfidence effect, and it's backed by decades of psychological research. Even experts, like doctors, regularly fall for this. That's why second opinions save lives. Smart doesn't mean immune. Smart often means blind to flaws. Information overload and analysis paralysis. Here's a strange one. Smart people consume a lot of information. They read, they listen, they analyze. But more information doesn't always lead to better choices. Sometimes, it leads to decision paralysis. You're overthinking every possible outcome, trying to predict all variables. And what happens? You freeze. You delay. You avoid. Or you make a last-minute, rushed decision based on emotion, which defeats the purpose of all that thinking. Smart people tend to overcomplicate. But simplicity is often the key to clarity. As Einstein said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Emotional blind spots. No matter how smart you are still an emotional being. And here's the kicker. The smarter you are, the better you are at justifying emotional decisions. Let's say you're angry, or afraid, or embarrassed. Emotions kick in fast, before logic has a chance to intervene. You might act out, lash out, retreat, take a risk, avoid responsibility. Later, your logical brain will explain it away. But the truth is, emotions hijack the wheel. This is why emotional intelligence, not IQ, is the best predictor of life success. Knowing how you feel and why matters more than knowing the capital of every country. Cognitive biases still apply. Smart people are not immune to biases. In fact, they're often more vulnerable because they trust their minds too much. Some examples. Confirmation bias. You search for evidence that supports what you already believe. Anchoring. You rely too heavily on the first piece of information. Sunk cost fallacy. You stick with bad decisions because you've already invested time, money, or energy. You can know about these biases and still fall into them. That's how tricky the mind is. It's like knowing about optical illusions and still seeing them. Identity attachment. Here's one most people miss. Smart people often attach their identity to being smart. So when someone challenges their idea, it's not just a disagreement. It feels like an attack. This defensiveness leads to closed-mindedness, and that leads to poor decisions. When your identity depends on being the smartest in the room, you'll avoid being wrong, even when the truth is obvious. But growth starts where ego ends. Social pressure and reputation risk. Smart people often end up in positions of leadership, visibility, or influence. And that makes decision-making even harder. Why? Because now they fear being wrong in public. Instead of making the best choice, they make the safest one, the one that preserves image. But innovation and truth require risk. Think about scientists who feared publishing controversial findings, or entrepreneurs who ignored early warnings. Reputation anxiety makes you play it safe, and sometimes safety is stupidity in disguise. Lack of feedback loops. Smart people often give advice, but receive little. Why? Because others assume they don't need it. So they operate in echo chambers. Without feedback, the same mistakes get repeated. Mistakes become habits. Habits become blind spots. This is why the best thinkers, from Warren Buffett to Socrates, seek out criticism. The question isn't, am I right? It's, what am I missing? 9. Intelligence doesn't equal wisdom. This might be the most important part. Smart is not equal to wise. Wisdom is applied knowledge. It comes from experience, reflection, and humility. Intelligence is what you know. Wisdom is how you live. You can memorize theories and still ruin relationships. You can calculate risk and still sabotage your health. Wisdom requires surrender, listening, stillness, and that's something schools rarely teach. So what can you do? If you're smart, that's a gift, but it's not a shield. To make better decisions, slow down, question your instincts, embrace feedback, separate identity from opinion. Feel your emotions, but don't let them vote. Practice stillness, simplicity, and self-awareness. And remember, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You need to be the clearest. Thank you for watching. If this video brought you value, subscribe. We go deep into books, psychology, and powerful ideas every week. Join the journey. Your next breakthrough might be one click away.